Volkswagen's ID.4 and ID.5 are getting some big improvements, huge, in fact, very significant improvements. They will likely apply to not only the Chinese-made versions, also the European-made version and the American-made version. However, there is one interesting thing we've just learned. That is, a certain European automaker has ordered Tesla gigapresses. Could Volkswagen as a group be using them in their future EV production? Well, if Herbert Diess was there, they probably would be, but he's not, so I don't actually know. But here's what we do know about the new version of the ID.4 and the ID.5. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. It's great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. And welcome to all the new subscribers. Great to see you. Welcome back, everyone else. We started this channel in around about May of 2021. And in about 30 videos time, we'll hit 4,000 videos. So thank you for being part of that journey. It's been an incredibly challenging couple of years, but it's been phenomenal. And of course, challenge is a good thing. Volkswagen themselves, I'm not sure if they would necessarily agree with that right now. They're saying demand for their EVs has gone down. Obviously, they don't make a profit on EVs. And the Volkswagen Group had planned on basically matching and beating Tesla by now. Just hasn't happened the way that they thought it would. Maybe with their new acquisitions of XPeng's old EV platform, a SAIC or MG Motors EV platform, and apparently a tie-up with Leapmotor in China, they could potentially jump in front of Tesla. The media might tell you that'll happen within a few months, so I think that's pretty unlikely. But the new ID.4 and the new ID.5 do sound significantly better than the old version. So what are the changes? Well, there's a 77 kilowatt hour battery pack that gives a significantly improved range. In fact, even though these cars look identical to their predecessors from the outside, there's some big changes. Range now is up to 345 miles or 556 kilometers. That's WLTP. Plus, there's a power boost, which I think these cars needed. I was a bit critical of the power. Bizarre that they underpowered them so much, but now power has increased drastically by 80 horsepower or 60 kilowatt, meaning not only are they more powerful, but they actually also have faster charging and a new infotainment system. So the improvements to the car are actually really around the substance of the car. And in the past, right, if you heard Volkswagen say, we've increased the power of our car by 80 horsepower, you'd be thinking, wow, that's amazing. No one really blinks an eye now when it's to do with electric cars. So, aside from the infotainment system, all the changes are actually focused on the battery and the power and the efficiency. This new battery pack is not the only option though. You can pay less money to get a 58 kilowatt hour pack, which has slightly faster charging, which I think is too slow. It's 115 kilowatt DC fast charging for the smallest pack. In contrast, the long range rear-wheel drive model, which is more expensive of course than that base model, gets an upgraded 77 kilowatt hour battery that comes with a more efficient electric motor that enables the ID.4 and the ID.5 to charge at a peak speed of 175 kilowatt, which is, I think, pretty good. These changes have a good impact on range. The ID.4 Pro now has WLTP range of 550 kilometers, that's 342 miles. That's a big improvement, 17 kilometers or 11 miles, compared to the previous version. The more aerodynamic ID.5 can do 556 kilometers or 345 miles between charges. So that's also an improvement of a similar number, 11 kilometers, 7 miles. The cars are clearly a bit better than the previous version, but you got to remember this is the bigger battery pack. This is going to be more expensive. So these models are not the standard range version of the car. Now, in addition to its improved efficiency, the rear-mounted electric motor has more power and more torque. It now has 282 horsepower, 210 kilowatt, and 542 newton meters of torque. That's 402 pound-feet. That's an increase of 80 horsepower or 60 kilowatt, and a pretty big increase of 235 newton meters or 173 pound-feet over the previous version. Now, if you buy the GTX model, you're going to get that more powerful version. But if you buy the ID.4 Pro 4Motion, so the lower priced version, it only gains an extra 20 horsepower or 15 kilowatt, regardless of which model you buy. All versions of the ID.4, the ID.4 Pro, and the ID.5 Pro come with a top speed of 180 kilometers an hour. That's 112 miles an hour. That's an increase of 20 kilometers per hour. In addition to that, Volkswagen engineers have improved the settings of the optional, so you pay more for them, adaptive chassis control dampers, which they say give a greater spread between comfort and dynamics. Now, the ID.4 GTX and the ID.5 GTX make 335 horsepower. That's 260 kilowatt or 340 PS. This is a 40 horsepower or 30 kilowatt improvement over the previous model. As a result, the 0 to 100 time is now accomplished in 5.4 seconds. That compares favorably to the old model, which would do it in 6.3. Top speed is 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles an hour. Now, I still think it's sort of strange that the fastest version of the ID.4 and the ID.5, which are both called the GTX, are relatively underpowered in comparison to other fast versions of EVs. I mean, look, you got the EV6 GT, it's a rocket ship. You've got the MG4, which is the hot hatch version of that car. That's a rocket ship. You got the Ioniq 5 and performance. You got the Tesla Model Y performance. You got the Tesla Model 3 performance. Strangely, Volkswagen Group don't have anything similar to that amongst pretty much all of their standard range models. You know, Volkswagen brand, Skoda brand, etc. So the most powerful version you can get is 0 to 62 miles an hour in 5.3 seconds. I'm going to guess that in the future at some point Volkswagen will have to change that in order to compete against some of these faster EVs from other brands. With the extra power and range, one thing that most buyers will probably notice is that it has a new infotainment system that Volkswagen say is much better than the old version. In addition to that, all models of the ID.4 and ID.5 come with a bigger 12.9 inch touchscreen. That's a nice improvement. Plus, the touch sliders are now illuminated. So they have touch sliders on the steering wheel. You slide your thumb to do stuff, and they now have illumination so you can see them better at nighttime. In addition, Volkswagen say that the new infotainment system is more intuitive thanks to revised menu structure while being faster and offering more functions than before. The digital instrument cluster and the optional augmented reality head-up display have been enhanced alongside the voice assistant. I think an optional augmented reality head-up display would be kind of a cool feature. That's something I would probably consider getting. If I was going to buy one of these cars, that is. Speaking of being able to buy one, well, you can't in Australia. Apparently they'll be here in Australia by about the middle of next year. Maybe. But Volkswagen keeps on changing the timeline, so who knows when that will really happen. Getting back to the car, the driving mode selector is now separate from the housing of the digital cockpit, like in the ID.7, allowing more space for the bigger touchscreen. The automaker offers an option of Harman Kardon premium sound systems with 480 watts and 10 speakers. So if you want to get a good sound system, you do have to pay more. Pre-sales have started. It costs $42,786 US in Germany. That's for the cheapest model with a small battery pack. Not really many other models out there with a 58 kilowatt hour size pack. So in terms of will many people order that model, I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see. But like I said, that model has a lot less range than these other two. I think nearly 200 kilometers less range. There's a big difference. However, we haven't yet seen the pricing for the more expensive versions, the ones that we've been really focusing on in this article that will provide you with, 340 miles of range, around 550 kilometers. And I think that's the real sweet spot here. That's the kind of range that would be great for pretty much every country. An EV, I think, with 340 miles of range is really all you need. You guys agree with that? Let me know your thoughts. Now, what do you think about this new ID.4 and the ID.5? I think they're really a big improvement from Volkswagen, from the group. It's nice to see them really work on these cars because this is what you need to do to boost sales. Volkswagen have said that their pre-orders are almost disappeared now for the ID.4, the ID.3 and the ID.5, and the demand has gone down substantially. I like the fact that they're transparent about that sort of information, but I think these newer versions will probably drive a bit more demand. Hopefully they do. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.